Hello, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Zulhusni, matric number 1816533. I am from Group 3 for Introduction to Sociology subject, and me and my fellow group mates will be presenting about challenges of socialization between genders. So what does socialization actually means? Socialization is the lifelong process of social interaction through which individuals acquire a self-identity and the physical, mental, and social skills needed for a survival in society. So why is the socialization is really important? Socialization is considered as an essential link between individuals and society, important for individual survival, human development, and stability of the society. When we talk about socialization, it is a must for us to talk about agents for socialization as well. So agents for socialization consist of people, groups, or institutions that we may be influenced into. So, as we related to one of the agents, we may face the challenges for socialization in some aspects, such as gender, race, and ethnics. The challenge between genders may be occur in situations like family, for example, among brothers and sisters, and then education, like schools, universities and college, workplace, between the peers, and then the mass media. And that's what will our group presenting. So without further ado, I will invite my fellow group mates to elaborate more about this topic.
Hello everyone, my name is Rabiatul Adawiyah binti Ahmad Yusof. First aspect of this topic to be discussed, which is about gender bias in school. No doubt that children going through almost of their time at school for their learning session, curricular activities and additional classes. Through that, children are getting influences from the way they are educated and nurtured by the teachers. Issue happens in school is that teachers are anticipating for girls' participation more than boys in the class. Why is this issue is happening? It is because of the teachers' frequent action. In class like English and Bahasa Melayu, teachers are having active participation from boys in their another section. So they keep asking questions and ideas from the girls of another section. This action had nurtured and educated the girls to be active in class. The girls are likely to raise their hand and pay attention in class and likely to listen and follow teachers' instructions. Because of their full attention and participation in class, they tend to be successful over boys in the school. Teachers see these girls' characteristics that were said before, and they do not have expectations or hopes for the boys. Christopher Cornwell, one of authors for research that studied in University of Georgia and Columbia University, said that the skill that matters the most in regards to how teachers grade their students is what we refer to as approaches toward learning. Then he also stated that approaches to learning can be taught as depiction of child's attitude towards school. He continued that the approaches included seek things that rate child's attentiveness, thus persistent eagerness to learn, learning independence, flexibility, and organization. He added his thought that whose parents of boys and girls can tell that girls are having more of all the sick things. So it is happening because of the boys' inclination toward the physical education. They do not respond actively in the class and it leads to girls' opportunity to answer questions. When the physical education session takes turn, their anticipation can be shown through how they play football enthusiastically. The reason for their inclination toward the physical education is the development of motor skills. Their motor skills develop at almost same average with girls during 2 or 3 years of elementary school. Then, toward the end of elementary schools, boys begin to pull ahead of girls in sport, although they are not experiencing puberty. Besides, sports are favored by boys rather than their learning class because it keeps them physically fit and a way to channel their strong physicality and aggression. In other way, sports or physical activities help them to build their self-esteem in front of others. Last but not least, boys can create their circle friendship through sports in a fun way. I have 2 suggestions of solution on how teachers can help boys to participate more in class. The first one is the teacher must always seek out for boys' participation in class with similar frequency with girls. It can be done by calling them and asking them what their view or opinion on the discussion going through in the class. Even they feel do not want to answer, they will need to do it reluctantly. After some time, they will be proactive first in asking something to teachers. The second solution, the teacher have to provide the best topic during their learning. The topic can be about the soccer, about car, or about the PC games to attract boys' attention and make them expressing what are in their mind. They can able to write essays about these topics as they prefer them as hobbies in free time.
Thank you to Ruby. Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Noor Asla and today I'm going to explain about gender bias at home.
Do you know that gender bias happen in a family?
Gender bias can happen in a family because family as a foremost socializing agency transmit simplistic label and deep-root messages considered specific for a feminine woman and a masculine man. In a family, different role models are assigned to women and men according to what is traditionally attributed to each sex. Similarly, on the basis of a set of physical qualities and psychological characteristics defined by the family, society labels tasks which are known as gender stereotypes that lead to gender bias. The first issue of gender bias in family is unequal involvement in household chores by women and men, as it is higher in women than in men. In Britain 2016, according to Office of National Statistics, women did almost 60% more unpaid work on average than men. This situation happened as an influence of gender stereotype, which is men are the provider in the household. Besides, most men think it is women's job to do the house chores as it is a feminine work and do not suitable for men. Moreover, men do not feel an obligation when they are involved in the home as women do, as they perceive it more as a hobby or a free choice. There are 2 solutions for this issue. The first one is, in a family household, it is encouraging to have a schedule in the household. The second one is we need to monetize domestic work and pay someone to complete it. For example, the husband can help the wife to do the house chores after going back from the work to reduce the burden on the wife. For example, the husband can bring the wife to eat outside on the weekend so that the wife can take a rest and enjoy the weekend as she doesn't have to cook for the family. Besides that, hiring someone to do the house chores could be another way to reduce the gender inequality in the household as the workload is not carried only by the wife. The second gender bias issue in a family is parents prefer male child to join science stream subject compared to the female child. Parents in general have the authority to be part of their children's future career. Girls are praised for their neatness of their work or their appearance, while boys are more likely to receive attributes based on effort and ability. Even in a nuclear family, this stereotype still strongly exists. For example, girls tend to receive higher grades than boys in math and sciences courses through high school, but they are less likely to choose careers involving science and engineering. The lack of women in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, or career and technical education can be directed in some cases by this pattern of universal behavior from parental control. There are two solutions for this issue. The first one is both parents should encourage their daughter to choose career related to science and math without being discriminated against their gender. Second is parents should draw the limits in terms of influence on the decision making of the children. For instance, both parents should encourage their daughters to choose careers related to science and math without being discriminated against their gender. Consequently, these advantages can contribute more to the country's development as the number of females and males joining various economic sectors will lead to the greater economic development. That's all from me. Thank you. We move to the next presenter.
Thank you, Daniel. Hello, Assalamualaikum. I'm Dia. I will explain about gender bias in the workplace.
Many people still aren't used to thinking of women as leaders, and that can affect the way we think about the ones who are.
You're talking about stereotypes.
For one thing, yeah. Think back to me when you first met me, or even what you heard about me before you met me. I'm aware of the Iron Lady comments.
Well...
No, it's okay. I know, the Iron Lady or worse, right? Pushy and cold. And some of that may have some truth to it. But it's also the way people think of women leaders, whether they are that way or not.
Gender bias in the workplace is unavoidable, as it was a shaped behavior in our society. Did you know that gender bias can be an unconscious action in the workplace too? Unconscious gender bias is defined as unintentional, based on gender, stemming from traditions and norms. Our socialization can be the root of gender stereotypes in the workplace. An example of socialization that leads to gender bias in the workplace is the natural norms that make the workplace itself difficult for women to socialize. The organization prefers leadership positions to be held by men. This is because men are expected to be able to be fully committed to the work more than the female. Plus, female are stereotyped since they are feminine, they can't handle the pressure of a high position in the workplace. The third reason is because men are more prioritized in these upper positions since they are the breadwinner based on the society's view. Thus, these reasons limit the leadership position to women and make it difficult for women to socialize. So, how do we eliminate or reduce gender bias in the workplace? There are three solutions that I will provide. First off, a structured recruitment process is crucial to minimize the impact of gender bias in hiring decisions. There are several questions that are biased but is normalized in a job interview, such as, are you single or married? Do you plan to have kids in a few months? Or are you pregnant right now?
The fact that she had openly mentioned that she was newly pregnant, and now the individuals, the higher up, started to treat her differently. She's being discriminated against, and ultimately she was fired, and those two different angles of discrimination are what we're litigating at this time.
company would predict how you would perform in the company based on a biased preferences on gender. Therefore, in avoiding these biased questions, an organization should have a structured recruitment evaluation where they eliminate the employee's appearance and gender from the resume. Plus, it is encouraged to have few evaluators to review the candidates to avoid an unconscious bias evaluation. The second solution is to have a clear policy on gender discrimination as a proactive plan to eliminate gender bias in an organization. Sometimes it has become a norm that a joke felt normal to one group but felt insulting to others.
Companies that buy our clothes often have rules against harassment too, designed to ensure factories protect workers.
By creating a clear, unbiased, non-retaliatory discrimination policy, it ensures employees have a proper way to report on inappropriate treatment in the workplace.
I took notes on what happened, where, and when. Then I spoke to my supervisor, whom I trust, and she knew exactly what to do. She went to speak to the human resource manager. Then things really began to change for the better.
In addition, implementing a severe penalties for sexual discrimination and harassment could also be as one of the virtuous actions to be taken to eliminate gender bias in the workplace. Therefore, a clear policy on discrimination at workplace should be a crucial step for each company to follow in order to eliminate gender bias. The third solution that could eliminate and reduce gender bias in the workplace is by providing training by the company to maintain a gender-neutral socialization at the work environment. This specific training is aimed to raise awareness in an objective for people to recognize, inspect, and change the unfavorable behaviors toward females because they are the most affected groups between genders. For example, educate the employees on what norms that they did that is biased to the other gender so that they will stop doing it. Although this doesn't guarantee that attitudes will change, it does help employees to understand their biases and to work on eliminating them. That's all for gender bias in the workplace. I will pass the slide to the next presenter.
Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Daniel Iman bin Saiful Bahri. I will continue about a factor of gender socialization in Malay society that strengthen gender bias. We live in an era of spreading words and speeches with just a touch using the tip of our finger. The renaissance of technology in our age shows us that socialization can occur from this limitless information spreader. This leads to mass media as one of the factors of gender socialization in Malay society that strengthen gender bias. We can see it through social media about men abusing women and awareness to eliminate it. But this disappoints us as men who are facing the same thing don't get any attention about it, as the exposure of abusive women towards men is less to none. There are numbers of men who are facing forms of physical violence, emotional, verbal, or sexual abuse. In our society, abuse of men is actually happening and the number increases more than we might expect. In research, as many as 1 in 3 men were a victim of domestic violence. However, the number of reports about men being abused is not as much as they feel embarrassed and also fear that people might not believe of their statement. Any forms of abuse, such as throwing things, kick, slap, hit, punch, has happened to most men, but we might not believe as this matter was long ago being seen as unrelated issue to the society. We are talking about a type of bias which society only create awareness of abusive men towards women, but not the other way around. Domestic violence against men is no laughing matter, nor is it a recent phenomenon. In fact, many are still blinded by the existence of domestic violence against men or husband. Furthermore, the numbers of cases reported are increasing from 2010, ranging about 650 cases, 815 cases in 2011, and 930 cases in 2012. The numbers clearly shows a growing numbers of Malaysian men abused by their spouse. While it is common for women to make up the majority of domestic abuse cases and headlines herein, it shouldn't be a surprise to learn that men can also be victims of domestic violence. According to the Women, Family and Community Development Ministry, there has been a growing trend of domestic violence cases against men. According to health psychology researchers, emotional abuse involves any non-physical attitudes or behaviors that a person exhibits towards another, in this case, an intimate or romantic partner, with the intent to control, subdue, isolate, or punish that particular person. It can be simplified as any actions taken by an individual to assert and maintain power in a relationship through the use of intimidation, manipulation, humiliation, and fear. Emotional abuse happens when a person feels entitled and possessive of their companion and would use any means necessary to keep hold of that power dynamic of control over their partner's lives. Psychiatrist Dr. Zuraidah Ahmad Sabki from University of Malaya worries that this issue might grow even more serious since normally abused women often had support from various organizations established specifically to help women against domestic violence. These organizations are more focused on women. The problem is the men or husbands did not have the correct channel to get help from the abusive relationship. She also said that the social fabric of Malaysia, which expect men to be the dominant gender in terms of physical and emotional, men will feel extremely emasculated if anyone would know that they are being abused by their spouse. As a result, they often shun away from reporting the abuse to the authorities. The husbands will not get the help that he needs and continue to suffer from the abuse. The husbands will often keep silent over that matter. This is the reality of what is happening through the society. This gender socialization in mass media must be changed for better secure of the future of Malay society. For a better living, we must achieve equality in gender and aware that we must use the media equally without bias, as it is the platform which people use every day to receive news and be aware of what happened through the society. If no one acknowledged about the gender bias in mass media, then it might affect what will happen and it might also affect the socialization of gender in mass media. Thank you for lending your ears and have a great day.
Thank you to my fellow groupmates for the detailed and interesting elaboration regarding the topic. As what we heard just now, we can conclude several things. First, the relation of socialization and the sociology. Allow me to repeat the definition of socialization. Socialization is the lifelong process of social interaction through which individuals acquire the self-identity and the physical, mental, and social skills needed for survival in society. While the sociology is the study of social life, social change, and the social causes and consequences of human behavior. Sociologists investigate the structure of groups, organizations, and societies and how people interact within these contexts. Now, we heard these words simultaneously when we mentioned about the definition of sociology and socialization. The interaction is the main key for the socialization, which when there are interactions between the society, there will be social life. And social life consists of people that makes a groups that makes institutions, and institutions that makes society. So that's how society or sociology is related strongly with the socialization effect. Next, we can suggest some solutions. The first one is encouraging and widening the culture of reading and learning about sociology. By reading and learning the knowledge of sociology, we can know the real crucial points, such as what is the real problem, the consequences, the challenges, and how to fix and amend all of these matters, issues, and the solution as well. second one is providing the platform for all of individuals and societies to prove themselves in their own potential. By providing the stage for all, there will be no oppressed parties and there will be massive change in aspect of bias. This also strengthens the point that socialization encourages human skills, abilities, and human development. The third one is enlightening the way of Islamic teaching that emphasize the equity of society. I would like to quote one of the Quranic verses in Surah Al-Hujurat, verse number 13, where Allah says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. Which means, O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female, and made you peoples and tribes, that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Indeed, Allah is knowing and aware. As what we can see, that Islam teaches us that there's no mistreats, no downgrading, and no insulting, because the nobleness is not measured by gender, or race, or ethnics, but the good deeds and piety. And this really good teaching is really amazing to be pondered and can be applied in the society that was get infected by the issues that have been stated in the presentations by my fellow groupmates. So that's a wrap from us. So we hope this group presentation video is beneficial, informative, and great. We also pray and hope for the best for our society, especially in terms of what have been discussed in the video. So see you again. Thank you.